Today we will explore two highly relevant topics, which are decision analysis and project scheduling. This presentation is brought to you by Group Eyka. Our video presentation are presented by Anis Eyka, Atika Sofia, Nur Atira Nabila, Nur Aina Dravia, Nur Asmahanani, and Nur Shifa Najibah. In our video presentation, we will explore two important techniques in decision science, which are decision analysis and project scheduling. These techniques are widely used in management to help us make structured, logical decisions and to plan projects efficiently. Throughout this video, we will also connect this technique with Islamic teaching by referring to relevant Quranic verses. This helps us understand how analytical decision-making aligns with the guidance Allah gives us about planning, evaluating choices and using time wisely.
The second decision analysis technique is decision-making uncertainty. The Quranic verse Surah At-Talaq, and will provide for him from where he does not expect, and whoever relies upon Allah, then he is sufficient for him. Indeed, Allah will accomplish his purpose. Allah has already set for everything this discrete extent. The verse explains when outcomes are unknown and future results are unclear, decision-making involves risk because humans do not have complete information. This verse encourages us to place their trust in Allah after taking an action. This concept of tawakkul teaches us when outcomes are uncertain, humans must act wisely and then rely on Allah.
The first decision analysis technique is decision making under risk. So the Quranic verses is from Surah Al-Hajj ayat 18. O you who have believed, fear Allah, and let every soul look to what it has put forth for tomorrow, and fear Allah. Indeed, Allah is acquainted with what you do. This verse reminds believers to think carefully about future consequences before acting. Imam At-Tabari explains that consider what you have prepared for tomorrow means evaluating future outcomes and the results of one's choices, not acting blindly or impulsively. For the technique concepts, the future is uncertain but the decision maker knows the probability of each possible outcome. Decision makers compute the expected monetary value, EMV, or expected opportunity loss, EOL. The best decision is the one with the higher EMV or with the lower EOL. Next, for connection and analysis. The first one, from the surah, and let every soul look to what it has put forth for tomorrow, means evaluate outcomes. Second, emphasize on foresight, which is use probabilities consciously. Third, accountability principle. Choose the option with best expected results, which is the higher EMV. Next is Allah's awareness. This is to avoid reckless decision. Lastly is the example, choosing an investment project. So there are two of project, which is project A and project B, which is the state of nature is good economy and also bad economy. The probability of good economy is 0.6 and the probability of bad economy is 0.4. So calculated expected monetary value for both project, and for the EMV for project A is 26,000 and EMV for project B is 20,000. We choose the project A because it gives the higher expected monetary value.
My name is Nur Atira Nabila binti Muhammad Arabu. Before discussing project scheduling, this slide highlights the importance of time Surah Al-As. Allah emphasized the great value of time and remind us that humans are at loss if time is not managed well. This is closely related to project management where poor time planning can lead to delay and failure. The verse also show that success comes through structure, discipline and consistency action, which are key principles in the project scheduling. Therefore, understanding and managing activity time is essential for a successful project.
Project scheduling, knowing the time. So this slide explains how we determine time in the project scheduling using PERT and CPM. So the main purpose is to identify the activity start and finish and to determine the critical activity and the total project durations. First, we define the time terms. Early start and early finish represent the earliest time an activity can begin and end. Late start and late finish show the latest allowable time without delaying the project. Slack is the allowable delay calculated as the late start minus early start. Next, we apply the forward path. The early start of the first activity is 0. For the remaining activity, the early start is taken as the largest early finish of its predecessor. This step gives us the earliest project completion time. Then we apply the backward pass. The late finish of the last activity equal the project completion time. For early activity, the late finish is the smallest late start of its successor. This step identifies the latest allowable times. Finally, the critical part consists of activity with 0 slack. Any delay in this activity will delay the entire project.
So this is example question CPM for the knowing activities at a time. So as you can see in the questions, the time expected duration is already given there. answer for the question. So the pink color is activity and the blue color in the box is for the time, and green color is for the early start and early finish, and the purple color is for late start and late finish. As you can see, first I'm start with A and B, which is I'm using the forward pass, and finish with J, and after that I'm apply the backward pass, which is starting with J. So after that, how to find the slack? I'm using the late start, the formula late start minus early start. So for the slack, if you find 0 or negative, that means for critical part. This is how you find the critical part. So as you can see here, the critical part is for activity A, C, E, H, J. So the total week is 54. So that's all for no activity time.
So now we're going to talk about project scheduling on the uncertain activity time, and we've chosen Surah Al-Imran verse 159. So this verse somehow emphasizes consultation, which is shura, especially in decision making. And the tafsir explains that even leaders should seek others people's opinion, other people's view in order to make a wise judgment. Not only that, but this verse also highlights the need to be patient, to have cooperation, especially in decision making. And after a consultation, a clear decision must be made, and therefore we as humans, we have to put our trust and reliance on Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. In that terms, we are practicing the act of tawakkul. So now we're going to talk about the technique concept. So firstly is the purpose. So it is used when activity completion times are uncertain, especially when you have a new and unfamiliar project. So let's see the time terms. We have three. First is optimistic, most probable time, and pessimistic time. So it is labeled on the first, second, and third part of the graph. So basically optimistic is the minimum time required if everything goes planned. Most probable time is the usual or most realistic time for completion. Last but not least, pessimistic time is the maximum time required under unfavorable conditions. So we have two formulas. One is for the expected time and another one is for the variance or probability distribution. So for the expected time, it represents the average time an activity is expected to take under uncertainty. And for variance, it measures the spread or variability of the activity duration, and it shows the level of riskiness associated with the time uncertainty. So now let's talk about the connection analysis for our method. So our choice surah with Surah Imran verse 159. So this verse really provide a clear conceptual foundation, especially for consultation, informed decision making, and tawakkul after effort. Secondly, the phrase consult them in conducting methods really highlights the importance of collective discussion. Input planners rely on group judgment and expert estimate rather than making exact value. So this really reflects decision making through shared knowledge. Thirdly, is a quote when you have decided. This really shows the commit to a decision, and in PER it requires determining the expected project duration even though the actual completion time may be vary. So the last quote, which is then rely upon Allah, means that after we make all the decision, we leave it in the hands of Allah, because we humans, we couldn't control what's beyond us, only Allah can. So now we're going to talk on the example. So Alisha has been assigned to the next project manager for the company she works in, which is EBT Sdn Bhd. So the type of project that she received is something that has not been carried out, basically a new project. So Alisha has identified all the 10 activities for the whole project, where for all the activities there are uncertainties in the completion time. So the next explanation will be carried out in the next slide. So now showing table 4.1. So basically these are the all 10 activities which is identified by Alisha. So there's the optimistic, most likely, and the pessimistic time estimate, including the immediate predecessors for the project. So now I'm showing you table 4.2. So what's additional here is the expected times and variance. So basically expected time is the weighted average that provides a more realistic duration for the activity. So basically a variance is the risk or spread of each and every activities. So this is figure 4.1, which shows the project network including ES, EF, LS, LF for each and every activity. So there are total 10 activities here. So this is table 4.3. So from this table you can actually know which activity is critical. So the critical activities are A, E, F, G, H, J. So after finding the critical activities, it sums up to 42 weeks. So basically the expected completion time is 42 weeks. But you know, certain project it could take longer, it could take lesser than 42 weeks because completion times can vary. So the total project variance is calculated by summing the variance of all these critical activities. So in this case, the variance for all the critical activities is 3.55, whereas the standard deviation is 1.8841. So now let us focus on the next slide. So it talks about the Z-score formula. So this Z-score formula, it actually helps us to know the likelihood of completing the project, basically the maximum amount of time for the project to be completed. Let us say given 45 weeks, so we minus with the expected completion date, which is 42, divided by the standard deviation, which is 1.8841. So in the end, we receive a Z-score of 1.59, where we have about 94.41 chance of completing the project. So in the next slide, we will calculate the probability or the required time. Okay, so on this side, I want to know what's the required time for the project to be done by 94.41%. So by using the Z-score and the standard deviation, as well as the expected time, which is 42. So here we have 1.59 equals to the due date minus 42 over the standard deviation 1.8841. So in the end, we're 42 plus 1.59 times 1.8841. In the end, we will receive around 45 weeks. In conclusion, the expected project completion is 42 weeks. The critical activities are A, E, F, G, H, J. The non-criticals are B, C, D, I. And there is 94.41 chance for the project to be completed by 45 weeks. And also, there is a well-structured schedule of all starting and finishing time of the activities.
In conclusion, both decision analysis and project scheduling help individuals make better decisions by promoting tough evaluation, structured planning, and effective use of time even when facing risk and uncertainty. Decision analysis encourages individuals to think about future consequences before acting, as emphasized in Surah Al-Hajj, verse 18. This is further reinforced by Surah At-Talaq, verse 3, which teaches that when outcomes are uncertain and information is incomplete, Humans should act wisely and place their trust in Allah through tawakkul. Meanwhile, project scheduling highlights the importance of managing time responsibly. When activity durations are known, Surah Al-Asr reminds us that success comes through discipline, patience, and consistent effort. However, when activity times are uncertain, Surah Al-Imran verse 159 emphasizes consultation, cooperation, and flexibility in decision-making, followed by reliance on Allah after decision is made. Overall, these quality chains clearly support the core principle of decision science by encouraging foresight, time awareness, consultation, and trust in Allah. With that, we conclude our presentation, and may this analysis remind us of the importance of thoughtful decision making and reliance on Allah. Thank you for watching.